Start watching cold the whole day. And I'm like, I'll tell you what, you get there and there's not a lot of
calling it because he had some stuff.
you get there 6:30,
That's
we
why
go
I
like
called.
walk
He's
around.
like,
Nobody wants your business. No one wants your
So hamburger's supposed to be calling it now.
We go out.
yeah.
They were all good.
Yes.
So they were like, I should be able to register, and then they'll pay on your phone. But it was like an hour to get to the desk where they were doing that.
They wanted to fence here. You already have a.
We already have a solicitor.
Right.
So why would we?
We have a better
When I have
solicitor
text,
than that.
he must have been there.
People will get
That's a lot of business flying.
He was running over one of those rides.
Yeah, he was fine.
I'd have separate directors.
I drove past. I was like burying one child as the transit dude one Saturday. Like driving past the airport. I was like, what do you want? I want to go do that. Crap.
John, how's your summer?
Just the summer though, right? You need to go and take pictures.
So, but I'm heading to Vegas tomorrow.
How long?
5 days. There's a group of friends of mine. They got their friends for a long time. They played the biggest football league in 1984 and decided to work since everybody's single. Your eye is. So for 34 years now, the draft has been in Vegas. Yeah. It's fun. I got into it about 10 years ago. A buddy of mine was looking around that golf.
I'll say,
So,
item one,
this
we're
year's
asked
gonna be
Ryan to
fun.
briefly describe
So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
project. And then
Other than that, it's
the motions that.
How about yours?
Yep.
Written here.
Yeah, they had like a dozen or 15.
Got away for 1 week.
Or,
Marty and I went over.
yeah. And then the whole future was gone.
how'd you like it?
And I know I looked at first like, yeah, but I hadn't thought about it.
Brought them across to.
He approved it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
When they cooperated, we left and then yeah, we showed up and then we left.
Roughly our age. Too young to do it. When you hit my turf, then you want to do it.
Well, I'm too old for carnival, so I gotta figure it out.
Former United States ambassador to Austria.
Wow.
We spent the last, I don't know if you ever heard this, Brown Forman
To make the best.
That's why I heard it. I'm a jacker.
This was Brown.
Yeah. Also meet somebody at the
That
top.
was a little different at that time, but they were really nice people.
Next year better be there.
How you doing, Ted?
I like flying under the ice. I know that about me by now. I'm very happy with my little life.
Sorry,
Came over, Skip Fairman. He's got 100 acres across the street from us. Hired him for the fighter punch. 86 years old. It's nice. He had a great life. He just fixed old cars and he loved airplanes. Yeah, it was
Get him to sign his life away.
I know, right?
Well, money's gonna come in, so that's the good news.
It seemed that all these people, they were all smiling.
He's stuck in traffic, he just called me. He's in the same thing Mike's in on 22. He said probably 10 minutes late. Wasn't doing it. So he said if you need him for 4, he can call in, but otherwise we'll get going.
Just this one?
All three of them. Yep. Just that one.
Yeah, kind of sneaking in the city, American Parkway, and that little turn off before you hit Airport Road, and then coming out your trade.
Hi everybody, this is Mike Down on the phone.
Hey, Mike.
How you doing? I'm stuck on 22. Actually picking my way back across country.
Yeah, Eddie Lozano's on the same
Right
track.
on the road.
Thank you.
So I'll be there sometime.
Well, it's a good day. It's a nice cool day to sit in your car.
Absolutely. Yep, just delightful.
All right, 12 o'clock high. I'd like to bring the August meeting of the Authority Board of Directors together, Board of Governors together, and start off, please, with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, so that roll call.
Yes, sir. Brian Dames,
On the phone.
Chuck Dicott,
Here.
Mike Dowd,
On the phone.
Frank Facciano,
Here.
Glenn Geisinger.
On the phone.
Okay. John Hayes.
Here.
Larry Hamburger. Ed Lozano. Jeff Matskin.
Here.
Glenn Reedman.
Present.
Ted Rosenberger.
Here.
Mike Schwer.
Here.
Matt Turk.
Here.
Christopher Worley.
On the phone.
And Tara Zirinsky.
Okay, thank you. Before we jump into the public comment, just 1 second on the event at Queen City on Saturday. I know Tom's going to address it in the executive director's report a little bit down the line, but as a Board of Governors member, I just wanted to say what a fantastic day that was. I saw Frank there, I saw John there, Ted, I didn't see you, but 4 hours at the stick. You literally flew your tail rotor off, right? Back and forth. I saw Jeff Matskin there. If I missed anyone else, the staff did a phenomenal job. And Tom, you and Colin on the stage handling the microphone and the interviews with the World War II veterans. We were fortunate to have, 8 or 10 World War II veterans? My wife and I spoke to several of them. My father's a World War II Army Air Corps veteran. And sharp as tacks, and what really impressed me as an ex-Navy guy was we had 95-year-old Navy.
92 years old.
92-year-old chief.
I met a guy that was 92.
Chief petty officer had his uniform on. Now, I was a 32 waist when I was in the Navy, and I got to tell you, if I put that on right now, I'd be blowing some buttons around the room. But anyhow, he was sharp as a tack. I believe he went in and enlisted at 16 somehow. He got in and served in the Battle of Midway. But what a phenomenal day. Ted did a magnificent job. 4 or so hours on the stick. We had almost 4,000 people there, I believe. So from start to finish, I just wanted to congratulate staff, Board of Governors members, and again, a special thanks to Ted Rosenberger for 4 hours. Is that an air-conditioned helicopter?
No, I just flew past. I flew one of those veterans as well. Now, he was my favorite passenger. He had to be lifted into the helicopter, but he was ear-to-ear smiles.
Well, when
Very gratifying.
you recite the Pledge of Allegiance and you put it in that context, it really hits home, right? So anyhow, thank you for a great event, and Tom can jump into a little bit more of the detail. I know we have a pamphlet that was prepared.
Yes.
It'd be nice if we could get these circulated for anyone that wasn't there, just to see what went on that day. Okay.
I think the veteran was the one who was coming out on the golf cart, wasn't he? Yes. Yeah, he was really, really happy. He enjoyed that helicopter ride like you wouldn't believe. That was great to see.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep, definitely.
That makes a lot of folks smile. Okay, public comment. We have Megan Everett filled out the paperwork, so that entitles you to come up and
You set the bar so low.
say your piece.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Megan Everett from the Lehigh Valley General Aviation Association, and we just wanted to express our appreciation and our congratulations to the Board of Governors, to the staff, to all the volunteers. The event at Queen City was phenomenal, but also we're really seeing you make good on all the things that you promised, the very ambitious goals for capital improvements, for services being returned to Braden, for the flight school coming back, for the avionics coming back, for the decrease in the monthly rate on the tie-downs to attract more pilots. And we just can't say enough good things. We're hearing a lot of positive stuff out there, so keep up the good work, and thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Megan, appreciate that. Okay, anyone else, public comment? Okay, let's move into some housekeeping items. We have to approve minutes for, first of all, for the June 26th board meeting. I'd like to entertain a motion for the minutes to be approved.
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, it asks for a vote to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Sounds like the Navy. Aye, aye. Motion passes. Okay, second order of business is the approval of the minutes. We had a special board meeting, July 12th, at the request of Judge Friedberg, and I'd like to entertain a motion as well to have those minutes approved.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we're done with the reverb. Okay, all in favor, approved there. That's good, thank you. All right, committee reports. First off, John Hayes with the treasurer's report. John?
Okay, thank you, Chuck. Going to just focus on the July 2018 results and year-to-date July. Year-to-date numbers capture June so that we can take the best use of our time this morning. So looking at the July numbers, you'll see that month-to-date revenues were up 8% year over year, and net income was $420,000 favorable to budget. So we see continued strong performance. We'll talk about some of the annual impacts in the year-to-date numbers, but focusing purely on July for 1 second. Ground handling revenue is up 13%. We've seen a very nice increase in the number of average flights coming in to Queen City on the freight side, and we've seen it on the passenger side as well. But ground handling is driven primarily by cargo flights. Aviation services are up. That's due to increased air traffic through the airport. Monthly expenses continue to run favorable against budget. We're 12% better in the month of July. Want to make sure a big percentage of that is on the staffing side. We want to make sure that we are staffed appropriately, and we put that responsibility on management to make sure that we handle that correctly and that we have the right people in place. And then finally, we are continuing to accrue for our estimated 2018 airline settlement. We've accrued $350,000 so far, so far year to date, versus $500,000 last year. That's a little bit of a moving target based on air traffic and formulas to calculate that figure, but we are continuing to accrue for that. Go to the next slide and go to year to date. You'll see that we're up 7% in terms of revenues, and we're $2.4 million favorable versus budget in terms of bottom line performance. Strong performance in parking and roadways. That's driven by our passenger traffic, which for the month of July, we saw the biggest month-over-month increase that we've seen, I think, since 2011, if I remember correctly. Ground handling revenue is up 5% as well. That tracks back to the increase in cargo flights, which I believe went from about 6.9 flights per day on average in 2017 to 8.1 flights per day in 2018. So continued strong performance and realization of the benefit of putting the additional pads that we put in over in the cargo area on the tarmac so that we can handle the increased flights. Year-to-date expenses running 8% below budget. Again, that ties back by a large percentage back to personnel. If you go a couple of slides up, Sylvette, so that we go to the variance discussion, go 2 slides up. Now the other way. One more. There we go. This was out on Novus as part of the discussion. You'll see the decrease in expenses. Lower salaries and benefits were $917,000 to the positive. That's a big variance. And again, we entrust management to make sure that we are in good shape in regard to our levels of staffing. Professional service fees and training and travel were down a little bit. We did have an increase in legal fees. Excuse me. Had a couple of things going on from a legal perspective that we've talked about during executive sessions that I think everyone's aware of. Advertising expense also running a little bit higher. Materials and repairs higher as well. Our pilot at $34,000 is in excess of budget as well. Important to notice from a year-over-year perspective, our non-operating income is up $448,000. That's due to land sales and to the Wiley insurance settlement or the Wiley roof damage and the insurance settlement there. Non-recurring revenue, but we do a lot of real estate development, so it's in some respects recurring non-recurring revenue. But we do include it as non-recurring because it's not core to the operation of the airport authority. You could go back 1 slide, then we can take a look at the passenger traffic for July. As you can see for July, we're up 20.6% year over year. That's the single biggest increase, Tom. I think it's since 2011.
Correct.
If I remember correctly.
August 2011.
August 2011. Oh, there we go. Driven in large part by Allegiant. If you remember, going back to the winter months, they increased the number of flights that they were flying out of LVIA over the period that was originally set to expire in August. I think now runs through November.
Right.
So we will see the continued benefit of that increased traffic, and I'd have to think they're happy because they're seeing the seats filled. So we hope that they'll extend it beyond November, and they've certainly seen the results that would be expected. We also are seeing increases in legacy traffic, which is fantastic to see because we had been seeing regular drops in terms of the legacy traffic for a while, and we are seeing now an increase in legacy as well. That drives a lot of what we do in terms of asset utilization at the airport, in particular parking and ground services. So good to see that take place. And with that, Todd, have I missed anything?
I think you covered pretty much everything.
Okay, sounds good. I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Okay, John, well done. Great numbers. Challenge to keep it all going forward. Okay, Business Development Committee, a lot going on here today for Matt.
Approval, approve the treasurer's.
I'm sorry. I always mess that up. All right, so- Okay. I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, thank you. Okay, Matt, you're on.
Thank you. I've got a handful of requests here. We're going to, if it's okay with the board, we're going to run through each one. Ryan's going to give a brief description of each of these requests, and we'll ask for motion with some very specific language to satisfy the needs of the FAA. And then on that last one, I think we're going to hold that for after executive session because there's some sensitive material in there.
Okay.
So Ryan, if you want to start off with a brief description of the item related to runway rehabilitation at Queen City.
Sure. All right, thanks, Matt.
Or sorry, this is 624.
So this project here is we're looking to get approval for an FAA grant for our runway 624 rehabilitation project. We've been talking about this in terms of the design phases. This grant is for the first construction phase of the project. It's the third grant associated with the rehabilitation. This phase of the project, I'll scroll down a little bit. This phase of the project really covers some grading, stormwater infrastructure improvements, and pavement of our intersection of our two runways. So you see here in June, we had 3 bids that were received. James D. Morrissey was the lowest bid at $16.9 million. A lot of the price variances between there that you'll see is attached to Novus in the breakdown, but the big variances are excavation and the surface amended soil mix, which is a requirement for the Conservation District. As you'll see further down, the grant also does include reimbursement of our administration expenses, some additional design inspection services with our consultants. So the total project cost, as you'll see there, is a nice hefty number of $19.12 million. All these numbers, I should mention that we're going through, have been included in the cash flow that John just went through. Todd and I have incorporated that to also include the reimbursements with this as well. Again, just as a kind of reminder, with the first phase of work, the majority of the work will be done between 11 p.m. And 6 a.m. Nightly, except for the pavement of the intersection will be a 52-hour closure in May of 2019. The first date we have is May 4th, and we're trying to coordinate a backup date as well, just in case we hit weather on that date. But just really quick, I'm going to scroll down so that the last attachment, you can open that. Just for some pictures worth 1,000 words, context. Kind of the pink-red area is the area that we're grading, so pretty large swath of area. The runway intersection we're paving, vehicle service road on the right, realignment that we're doing as well. And then you'll see on the bottom profile view a lot of the drainage infrastructure that's going outside our runway safety area. That's really what's driving the following phases. In subsequent years, it's about a 4-year overall project. The other years will be really touching the pavement rehabilitation portion. This is really getting us prepared for that. So with that,
I'd say the development committee did a review and forward all of these items on to the board for final approval. But if anybody has any questions for Ryan on that one.
Any questions? Big project. We as well vetted this at executive committee the other day, and as Matt said, at business development. So if there's no questions of Ryan, I'd like to seek a motion for.
Well, actually, I have a motion here.
Okay,
so
you got a
I've
official.
got some specific. So I will make a motion to accept an FAA grant offer in the amount of $17,215,083. AIP number 3-42-0001-105-2018, and that Thomas R. Stout, Executive Director, be appointed to authorized signatory in connection with the FAA grant agreement to rehabilitate runway 624, Phase 1 construction at Lehigh Valley International Airport.
Okay. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Very good. We've got some design work that we're requesting.
Yep, great. So this one, pretty straightforward, but there's two projects combined into one grant, again, from the FAA. One is to rehabilitate a portion of taxiway Bravo at Queen City, south of runway 725. And the other is to continue the obstruction removal project that we've been doing for a couple years. This phase is for the design of working with homeowners, removing trees, coordinating with the city of Allentown, getting associated easements and so forth. Just some basic detail. Taxiway Bravo, the section that we're looking to rehabilitate, hasn't been touched in about 20 years. It has a poor pavement condition index, so we're looking to get that funded through the FAA. Scroll down a little. It's also been included on our 2018-2019 CIP, but you'll see the breakout of the projects. The obstruction removal design, total cost of $86,000. We get 90% from the FAA. Same for the taxiway Bravo. So the entire grant that we're looking for approval is at $173,000. So these projects are really required to maintain safe and efficient operations at Queen City, and we're just looking for approval to accept this grant as well.
Any questions for Ryan?
This is the first grant in a while at Queen City, correct?
Correct. Yeah, the first really design project. We've had a couple planning exercises. This is one of the first design ones in a while.
And this will be followed up by, after the design work is done, then there'll be construction work.
Correct. Yep.
Are there other construction projects at Queen City in the making? Or that you applied for grants for, or is this the focus?
This is the focus right now. In the subsequent years, there'll be more that we'll coordinate with the FAA on.
All right. Forgive me again for the stilted language, but I make a motion to accept an FAA grant offer in the amount of $173,070, AIP number 3-42-0002-024-2018, and that Thomas R. Stout, Executive Director, be appointed authorized signatory in connection with the FAA grant agreement to rehabilitate taxiway B pavement, lighting and signage, Phase 1 design, and remove obstructions, Phase 2 design, at Queen City Municipal Airport.
First, second? Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, we got one more.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay?
And the third and final grant that we're looking for approval, again, another one at Queen City, is to approve the acquisition of snow removal equipment. As most of you know that have been down there, we've been using a pre-1970 blower that's a little bit tired and old, needs to be retired. So we're actually looking to get, in order to maximize the FAA funding, we're actually looking to get a two-piece loader and snowblower attachment to be a bit more usable year-round. Again, it's been included in our CIP. A lot of our equipment that we try to do to expedite purchasing is through our Pennsylvania CoStar system. If you want to scroll down a little, so that, again, there's the breakout of the grant. Total project cost of $344,000, 90% is covered from the FAA. They don't typically hand out a lot of snow removal grants very often, so we're fortunate to get this one. to really help us out down there in the winter months. So again, just helps out with the airport, continues to lower our costs in terms of maintenance. So we're looking for approval to accept this grant as well.
And you have a disposal plan for the existing equipment?
Yeah,
Tom's gonna
our
drive
next
it.
auction. That's right.
Any questions? All right, you're ready. I make a motion to accept the FAA grant offer in the amount of $309,940, AIP number 3-42-0002-023-28.
Come on!
I don't think he's talking to you.
Road rage.
And that Thomas.
Sorry about that.
Thanks, Mike. Executive Director be appointed authorized signatory in connection with the FAA grant agreement to acquire snow removal equipment for Queen City Municipal Airport. Despite Mike's objections.
Motion on the table.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Mike?
Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Ryan. Okay, you have one more?
One more, well, we've got a couple more that we're going to do right here before we hold the last one. There's, Brian, if you want to give some detail on some overages related to the Jones Masonry restoration of the tunnel.
Yep, sure. So, again, we're looking for approval here as a contract amendment to Jones Masonry Restoration Corporation. They were the firm that got the lowest bid back in September of last year for our tunnel, pedestrian tunnel and bridge repairs out front. After we did receive our bids, with some further site investigation and really digging into the concrete areas that needed repairs, there were some additional items that needed to be included in order to get the goals of the project realized. So you can see here what the additions were. Really the epoxy coating on the vestibules for increased durability, so we didn't have to come back in a few years to make changes. Additional drainage infrastructure, again, that was a big goal to really get the drainage under control and water from getting in areas we didn't want it to. And then again, as they started going into concrete areas, there were some additional repairs that were required. This project was put out to bid before we really started enacting contingencies, but you'll see we did get a credit in there as well to try and reduce that cost. So worked closely with our construction manager, engineer, with the contractor to really reduce costs, but you'll see the contract change is only 3.7% for a $622,000 project is we believe acceptable. The other thing just to note is in our 2018 CIP budget, we did include $720,000 as the line item before we got the bids in hand. So in that respect, we're actually doing better than we originally anticipated. So we're looking for approval for that contract amendment for Jones Masonry of $22,972.
Any questions, comments? Move that we approve the contract amendment to the pedestrian tunnel and bridge repairs project for Jones Masonry restoration in the amount of $22,972.
Okay, motion on the floor. Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Great.
Thanks, Ryan. That's it for me. Thank you.
And then we've got one more. Darren is going to give us some details on an agreement that he has come to with JLL related to development of airport-owned land for commercial development on Airport Road.
Great, thanks, Matt. Yeah, we've been talking the last couple of months. You may have heard us talking about some development out on Airport Road, just in front of the airport. So looking at doing some hotel and retail development out there. So we started looking and made the decision that bringing in a third party to help with this process was prudent at this point in time. We don't really have the expertise on staff to go through the entire process. So after some research, found that Jones Lang LaSalle, who many of you have probably heard of, very big in the real estate industry, has a lot of airport experience doing these types of projects. So we spoke with them, negotiated a draft agreement with them, and bring it today for your consideration. So basically they'll do 5 steps, basically the market assessment. They'll help us internally meet with us to develop strategy on this project. They'll actually write the RFP, develop the entire RFP for us. They will distribute it, get it out in the real estate community, and then they'll do the initial evaluation of responses And then once we've selected a developer, they'll actually work the contract negotiations with us as well. So basically, kind of soup to nuts from start to finish on this thing. All totaled, cost-wise, for the first two parts of the analysis and the RFP, it's about $48,000. And then the contract negotiations would be an hourly fee, estimated anywhere between $20,000 and $40,000. It's a pretty wide range, but we'll see how that goes. And then ultimately, there's a success fee for both the hotel and the retail site. So once we've got a contract in sight or signed and the construction complete, they would get a $50,000 success fee for the hotel and $25,000 on the retail space. Not something we had originally budgeted, but this will, take this basically out of the project cost itself. The opportunity cost of not doing this is going to be a lot more than the cost of paying the consultant to come in. If we have to do it on staff, it's going to take us a lot more time and likely probably won't get as great of a deal as they can help us get. So I would certainly recommend that we move forward with LaSalle with this project.
Just to echo Darren's comments, we've been looking at this for quite a while strategically. It fits into the picture of development of non-critical airport properties, create long-term ground lease revenues for the authority. And as Darren mentions, it's a specialty hotel, and restaurant retail is a special real estate function that we don't have with staff. It's anticipated that the ground rent income from 1 year will more than cover the fee of the consultant once we get this up and running. And we have had several unsolicited offers from some hotel developers and users, but it just makes sense to do this in an organized fashion. And as Darren said, soup to nuts, RFP, development process, paper the deal at the end of the day, through construction management and completion of the project, hopefully within a 2.5 year time frame. So the goal is to get this out there, in about 60 days?
Yeah, we'd like to have the RFP on the street in the next 60 days or so.
We can march on that, get the RFP on the street, get things moving, and get somewhere in the barrel on this. It may be one developer, it may be a couple of developers, depending on the product types. We envision a national flagged hotel here. There's certainly a good appetite for that, and the airport brings a lot of credibility to the effort. So.
Sure. Yeah, I think that covers it.
So I'd like a motion to approve JLL as our consultant to assist staff on this. We have a motion on the table?
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Darren.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chuck. And then the last item we're going to, I think that there's some real estate related matters that we'd like to discuss in executive session, so we'll hold it until that point.
Appropriate under the statute because it relates to purchase or lease of real estate. That's an appropriate reason to have an executive session.
Thanks, Archie.
I can have a motion to move into executive session, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And there will be a vote when we go back public. Okay. I don't see the red light. Are we on?
We're in.
All right, we're back in public session, and I'm going to hand it back to Matt Turk.
Sure. I think that we're going to,
During the executive session, we discussed matters which are appropriate for an executive session, specifically a pending real estate transaction and labor-related issue relating to contract negotiations.
so I'd entertain a motion that we approve the terms as presented, the terms with Majestic Realty as presented in the executive session, and authorize staff to complete these agreements contingent upon the approval of the solicitor and aviation council.
That's with regard to the real estate matters.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Terrific, motion carries. Thanks for all the work, Matt.
Need a motion with regard to the labor matter.
Labor? You have a, Tom?
I don't, but I think the motion is simply staff is requesting approval of the terms as presented, the material terms of the collective bargaining agreement for the International Association of Firefighters, Local 2227, for entering into agreement with that group. So
moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and thanks for all the work on it. I think that's a phenomenal
With
deal.
regard to that last motion, That's to authorize the staff to prepare a proposed contract, which would then be brought back for the board's approval after it's formally drafted.
Typically not. Once we have the material terms, we wouldn't bring the agreement back typically.
All right, are you content then with the approval that's been expressed here?
Yes, as long as we have approval on the material terms, I
Okay.
think we're comfortable.
All right.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so,
Okay. I sent a message around to the board members saying that we're taking a look at the bylaws, and I solicited any suggestions, and I've gotten 2 suggestions. Going to have a report for the executive committee in the coming month, and if there's anyone who has any other thoughts on it, any other suggestions, please get in touch with me so I can include that. Ultimately, it will be brought back before the board because these are amendments to the bylaw, and there has to be voted on by the board.
Does everyone have the most latest bylaws to review?
The most recent copy, we can make sure we send that out to the group.
Everybody needs them, so Beth can provide them.
Yeah,
I can
Just send
circulate
out the
them.
most recent one on email.
Yeah,
so that-
certainly.
Great.
that's it. Good. Okay, Tom, Director's report?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. As John had mentioned, a very good month of July for ABE at 20.62% increase. But we did have a little bit of footage. I don't know if anybody in the room recognizes the footage, but thank you, Ted, for providing the helicopter rides. Tremendous footage from some of the fireworks display and everything that we used to close out the evening. But overall, approximately 3,500 attendees, and that does not include staff, vendors, and our veterans, and the Swing Time Dolls. Fabulous performance. So just a great weather day. We couldn't have planned that any better if we had tried. So it just really rounded out the day, and there was something for everyone. I heard from a couple who was from Lancaster area and said it was the most professional event she ever attended. And so we were really excited that people really were excited about it. I think the thing that scared me the most is everybody wanted to know what time the gates opened on Sunday. So we were a little bit nervous about that one. But overall, just a fantastic event. So thanks to staff. Certainly it takes an army to put on these events, and so a special thank you to all the staff that contributed their time and talents to get that event together. So thank you. We did have copies of the annual reports, the 2017 annual report in front of you. I think that came out fantastic. So it looks like we have a lot of stuff going on in 17. We'll make 18s even larger, and a lot of good stuff to be thinking about. So those are in front of you as well, and we'll be distributing those out into the public as well. So wanted to make mention, in addition to all the grants that we received today, we did have an application for additional funding, some supplemental discretionary money from FAA that we could potentially see on the Hangar 11 parking apron as well as the taxiway stub connector. So it's a $2.9 million request. If we can get that, Todd, any objection to getting that $2.9 million?
No.
Okay.
No problem.
So we're looking to see if we can connect on the supplemental discretionary. It was only available to certain airports like ABE, so we wait to hear news on that one. I did attend the Northeast chapter of AAA's annual conference in Jersey City on August 13th and 14th. Very good conference, a lot of good material, a lot of good discussion, so very worthwhile attending that. We also did have our general aviation workshop here at Hangar 7 earlier in August on the 15th, and that was actually very well attended. We had Carrie Furlow, who was our wildlife biologist here, talking with a lot of our tenants, our pilots. Really enlightening to a lot of folks in terms of the work that he's doing here under our federally approved wildlife hazard management plan. So a lot of good discussion about the runway project that we just talked about here and the grant that we're getting. So really providing some good information there, and I think it was well received. We also performed our federally mandated annual emergency plan review on the 20th. So that was at 7 p.m. Over 100 attendees to that, and almost 50 different emergency response agencies participated. So it was a very, very good event. largest attendance we've had at one of those ever. So we continue to really work with the community and our mutual aid responders on these events. Of course, we had some picture scrolling earlier of our groundbreaking event for Hangar 11, and that was back on August 21st. Very well attended. Chuck, thanks for being there, as well as a lot of the members here today. And then we did talk about Queen City, and I don't know if anyone took note, the pylon sign, which I think we've talked about for at least 2 years.
It is terrific. What an embarrassment it's been for a long time.
Right.
So, Tom, thanks for driving that home.
2 years is generous to it.
2 years is generous, I think, but we'll cap it at 24 months and call it good. But the new sign looks fantastic, so I think Darren and your team are working on getting some of the tenants up on that sign as well. And I think somewhere in here we had a picture of that. If you didn't see it, yeah, sure. So, moving on. In terms of upcoming events, yeah, we do have on September 13th here at ABE, the commercial real estate women of Lehigh Valley, the crew event. We'll be meeting here on the second level of the terminal. And so looking forward to that event. Also doing a lot of partnership and discussions. We've had several meetings with Da Vinci Science Center. They're holding a Leonardo Society event here as well. So looking forward to that event. Our Lehigh Valley polo match for Equilibrium. That's coming up September 16th at 1 o'clock at Braden Air Park. So we're excited about that. We have all of our approvals in place for that event to move forward. And TSA's pre-check enrollment center. The next one is September 24th to October 5th. And that will actually be in their mobile unit. So that's the RV. And that'll be in our long-term lot. A little different than what we've been doing. But they're rolling out these new mobile centers. So that's really what they're looking to do. And so it'll be interesting. At this point, over 7,300 folks have enrolled right here in our enrollment centers in the Lehigh Valley at ABE. So great, enrollment process. There's a sign. There we go. So yeah, I think pretty tremendous outcome on that sign.
Nice. Yeah, definitely.
And
Not quite as nice as the old one.
Not quite as nice as the old one, but and then last but not least, we're planning our board meeting. Our next board meeting, September 25th, will be our annual evening board meeting. So that will be our 5 p.m. meeting. So I don't know if that makes traffic any better for us, but certainly we have that one coming up. So maybe you can leave at lunchtime. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chair. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Tom. Well done. Lots of good things going on.
I don't have a question, I just have a quick comment. This is so refreshing.
Yes.
To have this type of report. I remember, you remember, not too long ago, they were painful, they were hard to listen to, but I mean, the team, staff doing a fantastic job, development, numbers are up, a lot of great GA activity. I mean, and we're just winning, we just continue to win. So I just think congratulations, take a bow. Great job. And this is, I think, what good management and governance delivers.
Yeah, what a change. When I was appointed to the board, I was offered condolences by several people.
It's just wonderful. Thank you, Tom and staff and everyone around the table.
Absolutely. I agree with that. A member of the Board of Commissioners, when I appeared before them, asked if I was a misogynist. Why did I want to be on the board? But this has been such a sea change, and I'm just so happy to be part of it at this point. Compared to where we were.
Thank you, Jeff. I agree.
Tom, Chuck, one of the things that we did, and Tom was really great at this, was making presentations to Northampton County Council and Lehigh County Council, and just wondering if we're going to continue to do those.
We're working on the dates right now.
All right.
Yeah, so we're looking at late September, early October timeframe, similar to last year. So we're just coordinating with both counties.
We thought you would be a good guy, Mike, since you're past board chair, that you would be the gentleman that would run those meetings. Since you asked about it.
They throw a few more things at me, I'm afraid.
Sounds like you had a stressful ride over. I'm going to let you go.
It's always good to provide a little bit of humor for the meeting.
You didn't curse though, so you weren't.
No, that's what I was waiting for. The next word.
Something better than, come on. It's one of those things where you open your mouth and say, no, I better not. What did I say?
All right, thank you, Tom. Judge Freeberg said he has no more reports, so we're done with the solicitor side. Any new business to discuss? Yes, Tara.
I just had a comment from somebody in the community who recently went through Lehigh Valley Airport and also is a frequent traveler. They're a millennial. And they said that we should make the airport more amenable to millennials. And that the Scranton Airport is a good example. That somehow we should go up there, look at that airport, what they're doing there, because they're doing something right. And that the layout and what's offered here is not up to millennial standards.
What's specifically?
Yeah, what are they looking for?
Just for my edification.
I think they're looking for different, I don't know what's at Scranton Airport, because honestly I haven't been there. But from what he discussed, it was, they thought that there should be better restaurants, like shops, different stores, maybe even a nightclub. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow, like you need a Starbucks. And maybe even like a gym for a layover. I don't know, but like it made it seem that maybe this airport needed to be more than what it is actually used for. I mean, it's not like we have real layovers here where you need a gym, but you know.
No, and hopefully
But
some of this
millennials, you know,
development-
they're like a different breed
Like
of
a
people.
hotel?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I mean, the hotel and the
millennials.
restaurants that we're trying to develop.
So what his idea was that in somehow when you're coming up with a marketing plan or coming up with any ideas of how you might want to renovate or present or add to this, you would have a focus group that is strictly millennials to get their input because that's the next gen.
Okay.
So I'm just,
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm relaying the message because he asked me to,
I think you'd
and
be a
so I'm
great
doing it.
committee chair for that. We're gonna form, under
Just
the
a-
bylaws adjustments, we're gonna
Quick
build
word to
four
that.
Tom, we
committees.
can,
Where the Lehigh Valley Economic Development Corporation is working on a branding campaign to position the region as a place to attract talent, and the airport and the assets related to the airport will certainly factor into that. We'll be engaging members of the staff to help us position the region for that. Yeah, I'm sure that feedback will come from the millennial community about
Yeah,
the.
they're very vocal, aren't they?
we can convene young professionals.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Chamber. If you want to talk to them.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think there's a lot of good things we've been talking about at a staff level, some different initiatives as well. So there's some things that we're going to be hopefully able to
That'll do
bring
it,
forward and
Starbucks.
discuss with the board as we move forward. But always the feedback is welcome. So,
Yeah, so I thought I would relay that to you
Absolutely.
Thank
and
you.
see if it could add to whatever you're doing here.
absolutely.
Any other new business? Okay, hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn, go out and enjoy the heat. Second?
And traffic.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chuck.